Hey, oye, oye, oye. What's up, people? What's up, people? What's up? This is the Reluctant Nabi back again. And y'all know what time it is. It's time to go all in. And I was talking with some of the brothers, and we was talking about a very significant problem. And that is that the BW quote Malcolm X one thing in particular, but he wouldn't know them and couldn't defend them and their behavior today. Now, you say he wouldn't know them, he couldn't know them. I want y'all to understand this. When Malcolm, in the history that we do know, because it's well written about, when he was dealing, before he became a part of the Nation of Islam, he basically dealt with only one BW. She ended strung out on drugs. The women that really stuck with him and he stuck with until he went to prison were Caucasians. He went to prison because of the life he led. Period. Criminal life usually catches up with you. When he was in the Nation of Islam, he still would not have known the average BW. And this is because the Nation of Islam and the caliber of women that are there or that were there at the time that would belong to that kind of system was very different from the caliber of we want to take the man's place women that existed outside the nation. So his understanding of the BW was skewed based on his experiences or lack thereof of experiences of dealing with the so-called real BW. I'm going to tell you and show you who the real BW is. All right? But first, let me remind you, let's get them thumbs up. Like, share, subscribe. When you subscribe, click the notification bell. When you share my video, share it on all your platforms because we need to have this serious discussion. All right? Not only that, all right, we need to be supportive of the brothers that's trying to give you real news. And we understand that even now, the so-called man in the Afro community, the Afro man, cannot stand to get news from another Afro man that has intelligence. A Caucasian man don't need charisma or anything else like that. And that's because y'all been conditioned to not listen to intelligent Afro men who have your best interest at heart because he sees you as a part of him. That's what's really going on in the so-called black community right now. Let me also remind you that in the description box is my PayPal, me, and my Cash App. So please support this channel and what we do for the children in the community. And by community, we're talking about the diaspora. So back to this. He was targeted by us, like Martin Luther King. Most of the so-called black people did not support him or Martin Luther King. The same clowns that quote them now don't support any of their ideas, especially the BW. I put Gabby Douglas here because we have a more significant problem than this. We're going to deal with another Simone, record-breaking Simone. Hint, it's not going to be Biles. But so sorry is the community that we want to uplift a weed head that have no ties to the community. Her ties is to the Rainbow Crew, the LG Alphabet Rainbow people, who consist of 79% Caucasian. I want y'all to understand that. And that's who some of these weed head, good for nothing dudes are caping for. It's worse than that. Remember this. Many of the men like Cosby and others have been taken down by the BW. Why? Because they volunteered to be a tool to destroy the Afro man, where he is the strongest. Remember, the U.S. government under COINTELPRO and Lyndon Baines Johnson, who signed the Civil Rights Act, also came up with this plan to destroy the community. Oh, not with bombs from the air this time, not shooting them in the back. White people doing it this time. They paid the BW to do it by brainwashing us from childhood all the way up into the adulthood. They paid her to make simps and weak-minded men. And oh, did that work like a charm. We have overcome everything but them. This was their goals that they laid out. To prevent the coalition of a militant black nationalist group or of militant black nationalist groups. They can have one where they can control the leader, but they can't have us popping up all over the place where there is no central leadership. That's like when we all, I don't believe all people that follow Islam should be a part of the Nation of Islam. I'm kind of glad the Nation of Islam exists, but I don't think that should be the only idea of Islam. The same way that you got these Hebrew camps, but they all sound exactly the same. And that's a problem. It's a problem because it means that they're following one leader and nobody is really looking at how things were critically. You would have a point where, if they did, where people looked at what really happened, people would understand that David was not the apple of God's eyes, and through David, the nation of Islam was the nation of Israel was cursed. And Solomon was the one that really brought those curses home, mainly because of Solomon. He was the reason that Israel was destroyed. But he shouldn't have been king to begin with, because by making him king, David broke a commandment even on his deathbed. He died breaking commandments. And if you want me to make a video on that, again, we can go into that. But he died breaking commandments. Israelites should understand that, but they're not reading for themselves. They are being taught to understand like little sheep and puppets, so that they all go out in the streets and say the same exact thing. You cannot talk to any one of them, because if you say anything that goes against their leaders, you see, they will fall on their sword for another man instead of thinking critically. And that's the problem with the leadership. All right, so the Caucasians don't have to worry about those groups. They have to worry about splinter groups. They have to worry about that the people that YouTube and Facebook are trying to ban, like me. like Rick Scorpio, like Mad Bus Driver. You understand? They want to prevent the rise of a Messiah that could unify and electrify the militant black nationalism movement. That's what they saw in Cosby. That's why they set him up. And it was a setup. It's sickening. It is so sickening that people went out and tried to go against Felicia Rashad because the BWs, who are now all tied up in politics and are corrupted by the politics, because they decide they want to cancel anybody that doesn't follow the Caucasian movements. So any BW or Afro male or black person that go after Felicia Rashad, they're a traitor. Prevent the militant black nationalist group and leaders from gaining respectability by discrediting them to the community. Now, we're going to freeze right here because that's, again, what they did with the Cosby case. When he decided to buy NBC, that's when they went in and said, we got to stop this. What I didn't know, and I found out from Judge Joe Brown, listening to him, what I didn't know is he had already gained FCC approval. And so that's why they went that route, to have a bunch of women set him up like that. And that should have told you that it's a lie. That should have told you that this was a lie. But they wanted respectability taken from him. But the real men respect him because we understand the history of what was going on in the 70s. That when he went and gave his testimony in the civil hearing, he was telling people what it was in the 70s. And they used that information and twisted it to incriminate him by saying, yeah, they did do drugs in the 70s. And how ignorant people are. There is a lot of people that study about Studio 54. Then they want to act like the women were all innocent back then, as well as the men. If you were famous, that's what you were doing. If you didn't want to do that, you just didn't become famous. A final goal should be to prevent the long-range growth of militant black nationalist organizations, especially among the youth. This is excerpts from the FBI COINTELPRO documents. Now, let's break this down of how they were able to succeed. And they did it by way of the BW and the solo mom. But how disgusting is it that when these dudes grew up, they still can't think as men. I don't trust no dude that sit up and smoke weed all day. I don't trust none of y'all. I don't trust none of y'all in your conversation. You can't say to me anything to me on YouTube or anything. Period. I'll just bypass you. And this is why. Whereas I don't have a problem with that per se, but the dudes of today are so weak-minded and so hypocritical and dangerous to the good black women that they will defend the wicked BWs over the good black women, or as I say, the good Afro women, the one who represent. Gabby Douglas was one of them. Now, I'm going to tell you what my problem is. All right, here's my problem. This by Kendrick Lamar. Oh, in this, he hit the nail on the head. And I wanted to put this verse up in particular. You better not run to your father. I beat your ass. You know my patience running thin. I got boku payments to make. County buildings on my A, trying to make my food stamps, trying to take my food stamps away. This is why they're on her. I beat your ass. If you tell them social workers, he lives here. Not the father. Not if the father lives there, because he can't go tell his father anything. If this child goes tell his father anything, she'll beat his ass. But the dude that's living in the home, she'll banging his mom. He better not tell the social workers that he is there. Because if he do, she'll beat his ass. She'll beat his A twice if he's there. He's still there. 7 years old. So at 7 years old, you think you run this house by yourself? Look at how these women talk to their children, and you've heard it. Nigga, you gonna fear me. You gonna fear me if you don't fear no one else. This means that all them butt whoopings that the Afro male got, the purpose of them was to warp and train them to obey every command that was coming from a BW. And to also do it out of fear. So jacked up is the community. So jacked up is the community. So jacked up is the community that these dudes are saying that they will stand up for a woman who knew and understood the rules of the Olympic Committee, and she's going to get a pass because of her skin color. She's going to get a pass. But so jacked up is the community that they would pick this woman to support, who is for the LGBT, over this woman who they castigated because she wanted to wear her natural hair. These same clowns that wanted to support Richardson went after Gabby Douglas for wanting to wear her natural hair. They did this woman so wrong. No, we ain't talking about the Caucasians. They did this woman so wrong. They talked about her, the BWs talked about her so bad that she ended up wearing weave. And even then, she represented us in a good way. Unlike this one here. Alright? Who don't represent us at all. We get into these things where we choose the clowns and the clown wannabes over the good women. Some of these dudes are still suffering from those beatings because they want to worship these women and think they deserve crowns simply for existing, no matter how mean and wicked they've been to children or anything else. Because in all of their talk, these dudes never defend children. They only defend the BW. Because if they had it in their hearts to speak out and talk up for the children, they would be saying the things that I am saying. But they don't. Because they don't give a F about children, even if they have them themselves. Understand this. You better not run to your father. I'll beat your ass. You know my patience running thin. I got buku payments to make. Counting building is on my aid. Trying to make food stamps, trying to take my food stamps away. I'll beat your ass if you tell them social workers, the living boyfriend who's probably beating his aid too. See, because everybody that the woman is screwing gets to abuse the child, but the baby daddy, no, she don't want him anymore if he's a good dude. All she wants is the child support payments. She wants the food stamps, and the dude is not required to provide her with a home or anything else like that. She'll get money from the dude she's screwing. She gets child support money, and she get money from the government. And if the child tells the woman or whoever come by that that man lives there, she'll beat his ass. But that bottom one, you going to fear me if you don't fear no one else. 7 years old, think you run this house by yourself? Nigga, you going to fear me if you don't fear no one else. This is who these women are. They want to strike fear into all their children. They want to make sure you worship them. If you don't, they'll strike more fear in you. Because that's what this is all about. They don't care. It's all about striking fear. Understand this. They want worship because it's all about striking fear. Fear and worship. Here's the other Simone, Manuel. She makes history. How come your girls don't know about her? She got an Olympic record and made history. How come your girls don't know about her? Oh, she's a natural, beautiful woman from Texas with her natural hair. And she did it in stuff that Afro people don't participate in. Swimming. And she lives her life with class. But you know what? We can't respect the woman that lives her life with class, can we? See, that's a problem. Them butt whoopings, them whippings, understand this. Them whippings that came by way of the BW have these dudes so afraid to do what's right that they'll support what's wrong. At the end of the day, this dude Malcolm X was not talking about the modern day BW. because he had no experience with them. If he was alive and see how y'all go after the naturally beautiful sister, he would be clowning y'all the way I do right now. He would be. Because think about this. What caused his death is unrighteousness of someone based on how they did not take care of the natural sisters. Not the regular sisters, but the Muslim sisters. The ones that was doing the right thing. He could not understand it. He understands why you don't take care of the woman in the street, because she chose to be out there. But the ones that are doing right, the ones that's representing right, you can't stand up for them, but you'll stand up for a wee head that don't even like men, don't want to bear no children, don't want to be a productive part of the Afro community, but want to take our God-given rights and take them away from us and give them to people so they can have superiority and privilege to do whatever they want to do off of our backs. Yeah, that's the rainbow crew, the LGBT rainbow crew. Remember buck breaking, y'all. Buck breaking was the process of where a bunch of Caucasian men took the strong men, whipped them near death, and then the LGBT man came and sodomized that man. That's what buck breaking was. Lynching was hanging the Afro man on a tree and then cutting off his reproductive organs. That's what lynching really was. That's the history they don't want you to learn. That's the history they don't want you to know. That's the history you're not going to learn, because these weed heads, they're not going to tell you. And at the end of the day, if they do tell you, they're still going to tell you, but you need to worship the women that's doing all this and causing all this in the community. They'll tell you it's bad out here, but the people that's causing it, oh, you need to stick with them. No, I say what the scriptures say. We're supposed to sanctify ourselves, which means we are supposed to separate from these females, from their minions, and from all these dudes that went after this woman for her hair and then got to be some hypocrites and take up for the LGBT woman who don't care about men, don't care about children or the community, who's caping for the Caucasian community in the lifestyle that she chose, right? And look like a clown on the track. And that's the clown that's going to go to Japan and represent? Something wrong with the whole crew. With that said, I'm out.